So it's almost 3 weeks post-transfer, and I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, apart from just like mild symptoms, this morning I woke up with bad lower back pain. I actually feel like there's like a trapped nerve or something. It's just like this constant like pulsating and radiating feeling. Boobs are definitely getting really full. Today I've really noticed them, and like my nipples are now like just permanently kind of popped out. Actually, today I really hardly had any nausea compared to like some other mornings. And again, my nausea's never been terrible anyway, but today's been pretty good. It's really warm today, so I'm just like super slow today. I still wouldn't even say that I'm like fatigued, like really tired. I'm still getting up really early. Like I woke up again probably, I think it's like 4:30 a.m. this morning, and went to the doctor today, my first doctor appointment since being pregnant. She was really good, and she referred me for all the usual blood tests that you get when you're pregnant. We talked about genetic testing as well, and wrote me a referral for the midwife program. You don't find out to 12 weeks whether you get in, but I'm hoping I will. So the midwife program is for people in the public system. Well, I believe it's just for public. You may be able to do it private, but with private, you're obviously paying for other things. So midwife program is amazing because if you get in, you get assigned to a midwife throughout your care and throughout your pregnancy and birth, and they try to keep the same one, if not one other midwife along the way. From what I hear, midwives are just incredible, and they really advocate for you, and they know, really what is the latest evidence in what you should be doing in your birth, because the one thing I do not want is a high level of intervention where it's not required. And what I mean by that is, for example, we do hear this a lot more in private. I'm not saying private's bad, because obviously there's pros and cons with both. You speak to some people who swear by private, you speak to some people who swear by public, you speak to some people who went through public, had an awful experience, went to private, then you hear some people who with private had an awful experience, went to public. So it is very personal, but there is definitely, this is actually in research that shows that there's a higher incidence of cesareans in private. And this is because when you're working with the private obstetrician, sometimes they want the birth to go on their books, on their time schedule. Also, they're being very risk averse, so they're, just getting on top of things really quickly, which sounds good in theory. And obviously, cesareans are a life-saving surgery. And if I have to have a C-section, like I absolutely will. But there are times when women are pressured into a C-section when they could have tried some other interventions. And this is something I'm really learning a lot about, especially speaking to lots of friends who have actually had cesareans and now had a vaginal birth after cesarean, and they're in private. So I've learned a lot from them. So you really have to become the best advocate for yourself, but really learn what your choices are, what you do have a right to try and do. One thing for sure though is that, from all the pregnant women that I know, pregnant women and have had children, they all say the same thing. Like, you can go in thinking you're going to have this perfect birth plan and it won't go to plan. And so I'm just totally aware of that. So I think it's really helpful for me that, one, being a naturopath, I have lots of pregnant clients and clients with children, and two, I have so many friends who have children, particularly those who are naturopaths and nutritionists, so they're all over this stuff. So I feel like knowing all of their stories has really helped me to just feel a little bit more relaxed about it and try not to overthink it. But I'm certainly trying to really educate myself on all my options. What I definitely do know that I would like to do is hypnobirthing, and I would like to try for a water birth. Again, you never know, things change, you may not be able to do it, and that's fine. I do want to have a hospital birth. I love the idea of a home birth, but there is just this part of me that just would feel safer. And even though, based on a lot of evidence, there is, as long as it's considered a low risk birth, there is not really much difference, provided that you have the right support and the midwives and all of that stuff and you do it properly. But I think it's more just my peace of mind. I think I would actually rather have a hospital birth. But then, you know, some people may have a hospital birth and then feel more confident in it and then know that for the second one, maybe they could do a home birth. So there's so much to consider though, to be honest, like so much to consider. I've been highly advised to read Rhea Dempsey's book, who is an incredible, I believe she's a midwife in Melbourne, who runs workshops and is a real big advocate for naturally led births and low intervention home births. In fact, I actually know someone who used to work with her. So I'm really excited to read that. There's some incredible resources as well that I've been following for a long time, you know, trying for a baby for a while, such as Badass Mother Birther. Also been recommended to follow Spinning Babies, which is a good one for when babies are breech. Rather than interventions, there may be some techniques you can do. So this is a thing I'm really learning, is there's actually so much information out there and evidence-based as well that can improve your outcomes or help with certain situations where possibly unnecessary interventions may be invoked. So that's what I just really want. I just want to feel as empowered as possible with all the knowledge. And I'm so grateful for the network that I personally have. I've learned so much from my friends already that they've recommended. And I look forward to sharing those things with you as I go along. So I'm not far off from my first scan. So the date today, I believe it's the 9th of November, I think. My scan is the 19th of November. And we'll just have to wait. But I feel like I'm no longer looking at the clock as much as I was. Like I'm just really just living in the moment now and taking it day by day and just really kind of enjoying it, you know, enjoying that I've got sore breasts, enjoying that I get weird, well, not weird, but like, you know, kind of more cravings now. And what I've really noticed actually with my food intake is I wouldn't even say that I'm hungry or not hungry. It's more that just the types of foods I'm wanting to eat. So definitely wanting just lots of snacky, easy foods. Like for example, been having lots of dips and crackers, but like, you know, healthier ones. I don't want sweet food. Really don't even want chocolate. Like I'm just really just wanting quite comfort food. But I've still been pretty good with sticking to relatively healthy stuff. Nothing, you know, ridiculous, but just still quite easy, comforting foods. So with that said, you know, I'm only kind of like 5.5 weeks, so I can't get my hopes up yet. In fact, a friend reached out to me today and said that her nausea started at week 7 and she thought she'd gotten away with it, and then week 7 it hit. So I'm just really enjoying these days that I have right now, and we'll just have to see what happens. Good morning. It's 6:40 a.m. I've been awake for over an hour now, and I've honestly just been laying in bed looking at my phone, watching videos. And last night I definitely experienced my first like real feeling of nausea and lightheadedness. And so like it started when I was cooking dinner and I just started to feel like a bit nauseous, and then I just didn't want much dinner after that, especially it was a stir fry and it was still yum, but it just wasn't going to hit the spot. So I had like a small bowl. And then I was like, oh, I need to lay down. Like I just started to feel a bit lightheaded and just not great. So I laid down, and then every time I went to sit up, like that kind of sick feeling would come up. So I'd just have to stay. And so like if I stayed laying on my side, I felt okay. But like as soon as I'd get up, I'd start to feel a bit dizzy. And so and Ed was really good. He was like, just lay down, you know, I'll get my dinner for myself, because I was like trying to serve him dinner, and he's like, it's all right, I'll get it. And just like those little things, it just makes such a difference. Anyway, so then about half an hour later of laying on the couch, I was like scrolling through my phone, and I was just coming across all these food posts
And all of a sudden I saw this creamy pasta and it was just like, that is what you want. And all of a sudden I just could not get it out of my head. And I just even said to Ed, I was like, oh my God, I just want some creamy pasta. And he's like, well, get it, babe, if that's what you want. And then he like looked on, I think like Uber Eats for me, but there was the only pasta available was like, would have cost like $35 to deliver. I was like, no, we're not spending $35 because I want some creamy pasta. So anyway, I was like, we can just go to Woolies and like get, they've got like the fresh gluten-free pasta, and then they've got the carbonara sauce. Definitely not dairy-free at all, but I just wanted it so bad. Anyway, and I was like feeling a bit better. I was like, I'm gonna go to Woolies now. And then he's like, do you want me to come with you? I was like, it's all right, you can if you want, you don't have to though. And he's like, yeah, I'll come. And then he's like, I can just go for you if you want. I was like, oh, you don't have to do that. Like, I genuinely, it's like hard for me to say yes to stuff like that, but even though you're like, yes, can you please go for me? Anyway, and he's like, nah. And then he like sarcastically said, I can tell you want me to go for you. And I was like, oh, well, like, I don't want to ask. Like, anyway, so in the end, he went for me, which was so nice. And oh my God, it tasted like heaven. Like, just the creamiest carbonara. I actually got the Latina fresh, like, you know, they've got like the fresh sauces in the fridge section. And then I got their fresh gluten-free ricotta and spinach ravioli. Oh my God. It was so salty, creamy, comforting. Like, it was just everything I wanted and more. It's just funny how you just want something so bad and then you'll make it happen. And I was like talking to another friend who's pregnant, and she was like, yeah, it's like an itch that you just need to scratch. And she was like, Uber will become your new best friend. And it's funny because like I've got a lot of pregnant friends at the moment, and also heaps of friends who've just had babies. And it's just so funny hearing like the things that like people order or eat. And like I've got a client who messaged me the other day who's pregnant, and she said that she Ubered a cake off Uber. So funny. Anyway, and then my friend I was talking to last night, she said that she once Ubered a small fries from Grilled at 11 a.m. once. It's so funny. So funny. So I think I did pretty well last night that we, instead of getting Uber, we went, you know, just to Woolies instead, because obviously that's the only thing that's open, but ended up saving a lot of money and getting a nice big size and not having to wait for delivery either. So that was really good. So this morning waking up, felt okay this morning. In my that little pinched nerve that I had yesterday has kind of gone away, but my lower back's just now just in pain in general. So it just feels like there's just so much going on down there. And I was feeling okay. I've got like one blocked nostril. That seems to be a common theme. But just laying here, like every now and then I do just get that wave of nausea. So like it's definitely, again, it's still not an urge to throw up or anything like that, but it just seems that every kind of like second or third day, it's like the nausea just goes up a little notch and it just feels like a little bit stronger. So I'm not looking forward to where I'm going to be in a week's time. We'll just have to see. So, but boobs are still feeling like I had a little breast implant. So that's good. I just thought I'd talk about a topic that I know everyone would be wondering about, particularly if you're doing IVF. It's something you Google, it's something you look in the pages about, and you never quite get a clear answer. And that is having sex when you're pregnant. And having sex when you're pregnant is actually completely safe, as well, you know, provided that it's with, you know, the right partner and da-da-da. But with IVF, a lot of people are worried that it's going to do something to the embryo, and there is definitely conjecture. There is a lot of debate, But it's an old school thought that, you know, that you shouldn't have sex, whereas there's newer research that shows that sex and even orgasm can actually help to stimulate blood flow to the area to help with the lining. Now, to be honest though, I haven't been able to have sex because the pessaries, the Utrogestan, is just fucking with everything. Like, because there is like always, so I wish I could show you, but it would be definitely TMI. But the pessaries for the progesterone, like that go up your vagina, are like, you know, these like white capsules. I'll have to show you. But there's a lot of this like thick white discharge that comes with it. It's not your own discharge, but it's from the capsule. So it's just not very nice. And also, like, because I've been doing it now for like several weeks, it's actually starting to cause like a little bit of discomfort down there. And, you know, I'll be honest, like we did try one day and I was like, no. Like it was just so uncomfortable. So I just thought I'd cover that because I know a lot of people would be wondering. No one talks about it, and I'm more than happy to talk about it. As you can see, my sheet keeps coming off. I don't know what I've been doing in the night. But, you know, when you think about it, when people fall pregnant naturally without IVF, like often they're, you know, having sex like after they've conceived as well. Whereas like with IVF, all of a sudden everyone freaks out. But if you actually look at like a diagram, so you know, people think that like up the vagina, you know, the egg's just kind of like sitting there, but you know, where the cervix is, it's actually like this tiny little entry. Like the penis can't actually penetrate past that where the egg is. Like there is just no way, you would not be able to. So if you actually Google photos of a cervix, you'll see that it's like, it looks like a soft donut and then with like this little hole. So that's, you know, the embryo's past that. So there's just no way that like a penis could even touch it. But a lot of people just a bit unsure because, you know, we don't talk about these things. So you know, if I ever come across anything else that I think would be useful on this information that other people aren't talking about, I will definitely talk about it. But the thing that's hard is that with all the change in hormones, it does make you feel like it does increase your sex drive. And I've had a lot of sexual dreams. And so it has been a little bit hard. It has been a little bit frustrating because, you know, you want to do that. But let's also talk about, you know, some other things that people don't talk about too is that, you know, as a woman, like you naturally do like feel bad, like, you know, I can't give that to my husband, you know, like he's missing out, but you know, he's been awesome. And even he was actually the one that was like, no, I think we'll just wait. Like he wanted to just be so sure that like the pregnancy was a done deal and it had worked, you know, like, so, because I was like really in the mood and he's like, let's just wait. I don't want to do anything that will affect it. So he's been awesome. But, you know, there is just like, as women, we just feel guilt quite often. So I've just really been working on that and just constantly reminding myself, like, you cannot feel guilty for that kind of thing. And, you know, the person on the other end, they're not, you know, especially if you're in a loving relationship, they're not going to feel that way, of course. So, you know, if you are having those feelings, you know, just let go of it now because it doesn't serve you at all, because that's not actually how the other person is feeling. I hope so anyway. I really just want to try and be as honest and transparent with all of this so that hopefully it can help you guys.